Carolina.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Let's Talk Real Life with Native Manning show. I'm your host tonight, Vernon Garrison, and we welcome the guests that are listening. I am filling in this day for Miss Nada as she is on assignment, if you will. All right, so I'm trying to get comfortable here. We have a wonderful show in store for you tonight, and I thank you. I thank you for joining us. Thank you for your patience with everything that we have put together for you. All right, so now I'd like to give you a couple of pleasantries when it comes to listening to the show. You can listen on the internet at www.awesomeradio.org. That's right, awesomeradio.org. You can catch us there 24/7. Okay, you can go there, find the media player, and beep, hit the button, and you can listen all over the world. So, yes, indeed, you can. The other opportunities to listen is with Google Play. Download the app, the Awesome Radio app, and that sits on your smartphone. And you can just click it and you can hear us 24/7 ministry, opportunity, ministry, music, and everything that goes along with the station 24 hours a day. You'll be talking about Alexa, play Awesome Radio. Oh, those voice commands, those artificial intelligence. I don't know if it's really artificial. They interact with us when it comes to voice command. That is so beautiful. All right, tonight, if you wanted to interact with us, you could actually call in at 252-756-2008. All right. Well, this is part two of a show that we started last week when Ms. Nada began teaching on the subject. If we could change one thing, what would it be? And I get an opportunity tonight to hopefully spin it from my direction and perhaps in line with what she would teach. But it's a very, very provocative question. And for the remaining of the show, we're going to climb that mountain. And in each step that we get, I'll be asking you the question. If there's one thing in a facet or a position in life that we go over, I would like you to entertain your thoughts and to share with you or yourself, Yeah, you can share it with us. You can call in and do that. But I'd like for you to sort of be mindful of what you would change if you had one thing to change about some of the areas or aspects of life that we mentioned. For an example, what would you have done in the past 100 years in regards to, uh, let's see here, consumer scams? We all know that they've been around, telephone numbers, people calling, selling fake goods and information. Scams have always been around, and now we have the information technology has produced the world of the internet, the intranet. International communications host an array of people who abuse our online profiles, and they pretty much challenge us in technological ways that we are not familiar with. Artificial intelligence is weaponized, if you will, when it comes to the world. So what would you change? Now that's the one aspect that we want to talk about. Another is gun violence, domestic terrorism, homegrown vigilantes who are radicalized in certain settings, and some with help and some inspired by their belief systems and how they feel the government is dysfunctional. Some look at others, some are paramilitant type seed that have been planted in their hearts and in their minds. And they feel that their God and their religion and their belief and everything within them calls them to solve the problem. And so thus they start a one-man war against society, and they will pick targets and plan and strategize and go and find a neighborhood and go and find a store or go and find a group of people and call themselves fixing the problem by taking innocent lives. I'm saying to you, what would you change if you were presented with an opportunity within the last 100 years to avert and create a society that would produce less homegrown domestic terrorism? Another thing we want to talk about is, utilizing that gun to solve issues, the street justice, if you will. What would you change if you had one thing that you want to change? That's a question that I'm putting in your hands. I'm giving you authority, and I'm giving you and inspiring you and asking you to make a decision. If you had one thing to change about that would lead to something different, that would lead to the food banks of the cities and communities distributing food evenly, that would therefore there would not be food deserts where there's inadequate healthy food for certain communities. What would you change? Would you have mandatory gardens within the city and within the rural areas to feed people, to supplement processed food? What would you do if you had that one thing to change in regards to that? If the church, and how could you get the church to be overflowing, the cupboards overflowing with the milk and honey that we need to survive during the time of famine? What would you change in order for that to happen? What would you change? So I'm provoking you, and I'm calling you tonight as we look at these subjects and we ask ourselves, what would you change? Another aspect that I'd like to just introduce and go over is our veterans. We have military, servicemen, and servicewomen re-entering society, sometimes with mental health issues, sometimes with lack of direction, just based on social acclimation to a different life, a different world. They've been serving the country. They've been in the military 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, 8 years. They've served time. They've actually laid down their life for you and I in the most sacrificial way. And some, perhaps I wish I knew the percentage, the military members, whether or not they have their families with them, or how many years, or what's their lifestyle that they've put up and just given us. And when they return, what are we doing for them, and what have we done, and what's working and what's not? Within the last 100 years, what would you do to change that, to make sure that they are comfortable when they return home and they only have the upper torso and they've lost their legs, or they only have one arm? What could we change to invest in a people that serve this country? What would we change if we could when it comes to the government agencies and how we mete out and distribute and redistribute taxes that are paid into the government. How does that operate? How does that operate when it comes to our needs being met and the forms of government that we have in our lives personally? The church, the city, the local government infrastructure, the city and county, then on to the state, then on to the federal level. How do we make this run fluently? How do we make this distribution of emergency services during a storm when we all have to pull together and when we all suffer across the board in unequal ways based on our social status? As you know, when there's a medical or a emergency, when it comes to something like a pandemic, those that are poor usually suffer the worst. Are you saying, Coach Garrison, that the rich have access to better medical and health care? That is exactly what I'm saying. Are you saying that the reason that that is so is because the rich pray more, deserve more, have more, so they can get more? Absolutely not. Am I saying that because the rich seem to be or want to be or are contributing to society in more popular or bigger ways than the average Mr. Jones, than the average family? I'm going to absolutely say they are not contributing more because small businesses run this country. There are millions of strong small businesses that heavily outnumber corporate functions across the United States. Small mom and pop businesses still reign large, and still the small storefront helps and is a marketplace for the average Mr. Jones and the average Mrs. Jones locally. So we, the ones that seem to feel less fortunate and get less health care and get less services from the government, are actually a major contributor when it comes to spending money, investing. The money that the, let's say, middle class and normal populace have usually gets spent at your local stores, sometimes local markets, and then franchise big boxes that are planted in almost every city across the nation. So that dollar bill from the regular person goes up back towards the sky, back towards the government, big brother, big sister, if you want to call it that. So those are, a couple of areas that I want to use to start the show. There's a few others, medical and healthcare, that we're going to talk about. But I did open the show with us talking about what will we change to help produce a better mass, a better defense against radicalization of mass shooters. Do I hear silence in the class? Do I have one that want to raise their hand? What would you change? What are we doing now? Let's dissect the issue. What are we doing now, or what are we not doing now that we may have not been doing, let's say, 100 years ago? 100 years ago at this time, we were having a civil rights war. Martin Luther King, there was a lot. Jim Crow laws. There was still quite a bit of violence going on, and I believe that the racial tension in this country, and I believe that the way things were handled then was still To me, domestic terrorism, when we had the KKK and we had some extremist black groups as well, rioting and things of that nature, domestic terrorism. We use the war to, um, war in our streets and in our communities to solve problems. And I got something to say that might be a little risque on that matter, but I've been thinking about it. I didn't say I prayed about it, but I've been thinking about it, and you can call in and correct me if I'm wrong. But America, this idea of this country on this continent was built on violence. Built on violence. It was built on robbing from someone, taking land from the indigenous people that were here. The revolution between separating and gaining the independence from England, what they consider the motherland here, was violent. So we're carrying on a tradition with violence. See, that wasn't so bad. We're carrying on a tradition of a lifestyle that capitalism spins violence, and in order for this wheel to continue to turn to where you have an opportunity to, so to speak, chase an American dream, then there's some violence somewhere close by. Now, I would say, is violence human nature? Of course, I'm going to say that because sin is rooted in society. If we weren't shooting each other, will we be doing something else? Probably so. Okay, I'd say, we might be beating each other with sticks, throwing rocks, and the like. I'll just say violence is a part of, the world. But I'm going to say this last thing about the violent person and the violent perspectives these days. You got gangs that use street justice. It's almost like everybody gets shot. But I'm saying all this because you gotta let yourself know, there it is, I said it right, what you would do to change things. And we're going to talk about education and things of that nature coming up. I'm going to ask the same question, but I wanted to bring this to your attention on this show, because if we could change one thing, what would it be? But I want to conclude with the violent aspects of society by saying it is here. It is here to stay. It is the way we have set up capitalism, and we should understand it. We should also understand that the founders of this country are basically the imperial efforts to maintain the status quo will always, at this point, be fighting to maintain control. Okay, at some point we have to accept that or reject it if you like, but it's okay. It's okay as long as you know the parameters, as long as you know if this is the enemy after you, if it's demonic, is spiritual wickedness in high places. I gather you. I'm going to assume you have read in the word where it says, we battle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness against high places, and we have to pray in that respect. When it comes to integrating in this community and how society has changed in the last 125 years, what could have been changed is we American Africans probably should have maintained a lot of our businesses, our barbershops, and the things that we were self-relying on because we could not use a lot of white America's tools in order to live, conveniently, that type of thing. We had to do takeout. We had to drink out of a certain water fountain. So to say what could you change in order to um, make our path a little smoother and getting generational wealth, I would say once desegregation was employed, we should have continued to have our family businesses and our schools and things of that nature. That's not saying we are not sharing with other cultures here in America, but that's saying that one point that we are. And so other cultures really, hey, you judge how have they taught us if we are going to their schools. So that doesn't have to be a biblical argument. It doesn't have to be a God said we shouldn't go to a white school or a black school. We had separate schools, and I don't know how. I think the poor schools were getting less resources, and I think that's the same thing today. All right, let's move on because I'm provoking you this this evening. All right, so when it comes to how the city is run, when it comes to how the tribes and things set up, would you change the government? What if the judges were bishops here? What if the mayor was our pastor? What if the law enforcement officers, the security of the city were deacons? What if mothers were treated with the matriarchic respect that they deserve and the students were cared for in every aspect of the community? Wherever they got out of the car, they could be a mom or a woman, or in the position. I'm not saying they have a position, but in a position that they were called to. Obviously in the social construct, women as creators of humans, okay, not to take the place of God, but they have that responsibility. Yes, 100%. I haven't seen guys having the children yet. That's what I'm talking about. What if we had that society where it was faith led, that we had a sheriff, we had a that was a noble person, spiritual person that implemented and enforced and embellished themselves in the laws and actually was responsible for this city or this county. We had a chief of police that was, be like an elder, the ultimate elder of the elders that were set up to get us in line when we stepped out of line. So you see these what ifs. Hopefully I'm opening up your mindset to we can build America the way we see fit. Okay, what if that existed? That a person that needed a job, let me go on to the provisions of jobs, okay, and distribute it evenly and distribute it not necessarily based on education, but we made sure that every person in the city had a position of strength and a position of contribution, a position that was valid, that they gave and that they produced, and that they were effective producers from wherever, in whatever position and whatever age. And let me spread it a little bit before time gets away from me. What if education carried on until we were 25? You see, what you got the chance tonight to change some things, or today, or whenever you're watching this show, you might be watching the Roku, replay of the show or GPAT 23. But what if education carried on long enough for us to actually practically learn how to trade stocks, how to understand interest rates, and your professor wouldn't let you go until you had it? What would the social and economical status be of many, many people? There'll be a lot less people in prison. I know that social economical manifestation of crime would be a whole lot shallow, a lot more shallow than it is now, because we would get a society that was concerned about educating you. And by the way, I want children to be trading stock in junior high school. In order to understand a system of capitalism, you have to you have to major in those areas. The public school system is basically teaching us a consumer math, but when they come home, we need a family, we need a pops, we need a moms that's going to say, you're going to learn how to ultimately manage capitalism. Now, we've done it before. We had Black Wall Street, we had this, but I'm talking to everybody. I'm not just being pro-Black. I'm saying we need an educational system that's teaching us and that's going to follow up and make sure we know it. Okay. So I don't want to stay too long on that. I do want to jump over to, before I catch myself too late, on another social aspect. What about medicine? What about medicine? What does that have to do with healing? What is it? How is that laid out? The people in your family, the people in society that are gifted and talented enough, in which many more than we know are gifted and talented enough to become MDs, doctors, dentists, specialties in certain areas of the human body than we claim. So it's all about what we're told and all about what your family needs. I think we should say, I want a dentist in my family. So I'm going to encourage, or I want a person in the medical field in my family. So I'm going to encourage and sort of direct and guide my family to have a dentist, my family to have a financial person, my family to have an insurance person, my family to have a tax person, my family to have a minister, self-sufficient. But back to medicine, is it going the way, it should? During medical studies that we have usually, quite a few people in a study or research, but usually there's about 30% of the people involved in the research that get what they call a placebo, a sugar pill. So that pretty much means that they believe what they're taking is helping them. And then there are some people who follow doctor's orders, and because the doctor is gifted and talented, they believe, in which most of us do, that the doctor has determined what the problem is, and so we address the problem, and so we follow doctor's orders. That is the miracle in the matter. That is the God sent. That is the word. That is, the healing coming through the conduit of the medical professional. Okay. And then others go straight to God and get it. Others will take medicine and maybe not have too much confidence in it. I'll take medicine, then I stopped taking it before. I'm not advising anybody to do that without doctor's orders. But then some go straight to God and get their healing. Okay, placebo didn't have nothing to do with it. I do understand the power of the spirit that can heal. I believe that 100%. Well, ain't nobody arguing with me. Okay, but in the medical field, it needs to be more dynamic and less, what should I say, granulous, if you will. Let's get more doctors in there. Let's get more people in there in that profession. Then they won't act all so brand new and charge us $1 billion for healthcare on a monthly basis, in which that's part of social engineering, I think. Okay, why don't we have healthcare that is a part of the tribe? It's like when we go to work, do they charge you for water out of the water fountain? You go into a facility? No, it's a part of, a part of the accommodations when you go into a facility, that you can use the restroom. They don't charge you for that. Okay, so why do we charge for the necessity of healthcare in this society? Because it's necessary to keep another human being alive. I'm not going to stay on medical stuff all night, but I want to get into There was probably a couple of other things I wanted to chat. There's transportation. There's um, let's see, our living conditions that we want to talk about. What would you do with? We did mention education. I'm just thinking I'm getting some people fired up. I'm just thinking that I'm getting people thinking about their gift from God, their calling, and their obligation to invest in order to get a return out of this city, out of this lifestyle that we're living. I just want to look at the fact that we don't have to make our children suffer for our inadequacies. The things that we already know that didn't work out right. We already done research on certain aspects. And so when we say them, when we write them, when they are posted on Facebook, when they're videos made of them, these things are archived now for eternity. This video right here, my great grandchildren can probably watch it. It'll be stored somewhere. How are we interpreting the scriptures? How we're living our lives through the Spirit of God right now? Those are religious facets. Those are moves that we make. How we dress right now, how we talk right now. Some of those things will become sins, just like some of the things that we do now were considered pardonable sins. Well, as the folks say back in the day, a lot of the things we do now would be insulting to the church to even say, where, and and etiquettes or chivalrosities are different now because society changes. So we don't need to punish the generations to come with the garbage that we've been perpetuating, because the generations to come, a few of them are going to be fired up to make change and to make progress, to make better, because society and history cycles. So things may not be as good as they are now or the way that they are now. You'll have different people here. I heard something on the radio yesterday or the day before yesterday. A lot of us will be gone. Well, most of the world's population will be gone within 60 years. How does that sound? I hope it didn't sound bad. Our lifespans are not that long, y'all. There's someone living 100 something years old. I think I took one of those internet surveys one time, and it said I'm going to live to be 109. Woo! Have mercy. 109. All right, guys. Well, I'll make it. I'll be fine. And I'll be telling the same story over and over again about how we should continue to improve. I did want to fuss a little bit more, but I'm not. As far as coaching, coaches can get in your face a little bit, and I wanted to get in your face, and I wanted to say, are you in your comfort zone, or are you making your contributions to society spiritually, physically, mentally? Are you covering people that you should cover spiritually? Or a lot of us, I wanted to say, in healing, a lot of us can't do nothing for ourselves. I've felt helpless in a lot of situations in my body when it comes to the medical technology, and when it comes to the medical attention that I have paid myself and taken care of myself. So where did my help come from? The Lord. How was the conduit? How did it get to me? It got to me because of intercessory prayer. Somebody is praying for me. I just know it. Now, I'm not saying that I know somebody praying for me, so I'm going to expect that every time I step in the mud hole that, I got a whole church somewhere praying for me. That's right. Now, I believe that the children of God are following those instructions, however wayward we may act. I think there's prayer going up for all of us. So to pay taxes on that prayer, you doggone right. I think we should contribute. If you're around somebody, with someone, or in a relationship with someone, make that thing reciprocal, meaning if they give one, you give two back. I think that if you are around me, I think if you're thinking whatsoever is good, whatsoever is right, whatsoever is just, you have my best interest in mind. Because I'm not going to do right sometimes. And if I got your best interest in mind and you got my best interest in mind, then we're pretty much, every once in a while we're having fun. Every once in a while we're laughing together. Every once in a while we're crying together. Because we're sharpening each other. We're correcting each other. We are going through some changes with each other. Other than that, why are you around me? So the question tonight in the conclusion of the show, I know it's 12:30, but I got a lot more to talk about, but I wanted to just go ahead and get to the main objective of you making that change on that one thing. So now that we've talked about so much, what would you change? Before the end of the show, I'm going to tell you what I would change. Okay, I do have one thing out of all this stuff that I'm talking about that I'm going to make a choice by the end of the show. That one thing that I would change, because Miss Teacher Manning, Teacher Manning set the subject of the show, and she said, if you had one thing you could change, not you don't get one in each category. You gotta pick a category and you gotta make a choice over one thing. Hey, I don't make the rules here. I just come here for the water. I don't make the rules. I just work here. I don't make the rules. I'm just riding in the car. Okay. I do put a little gas in there. I usually kick out. Okay. I usually kick out. Somebody riding in your car. After a while, the gratuities, the gratitude, helping them out part can get kind of long if they don't at least give you part of their sandwich for lunch or something. Filling back up what they know that they are consuming. To me, if we begin to give gifts and we're bumping into each other in everyday life and we're giving gifts like smiles, gifts like handshakes, gifts like church hugs, gifts that, I have disappointed some people. Let me do real talk here. I have disappointed people because I did not smile when I saw them. I saw them, I was like, there they go. But then I carried on my thought process to thinking what I was thinking. And I've heard, I don't know, some people doing that. And I'm ashamed of that. And I'm so sorry. So what you have to do, Coach Garrison, is make a greeting a pleasant experience, because some people really adore seeing you. And it's beautiful if you do the mirror effect. If they're smiling, then you smile, Coach Garrison, and you say, how are you doing? Now, I'll do it most of the time, but I got to increase the rate for that one time. Now, everybody's sunshine ain't up every day. Okay, did I say that right? Everybody's sunshine ain't shining bright in their life. Some people are in pain. Some people have tremendous crisis. Oh yeah. The last group of people and the last thing I want to talk about. Okay, but back to the smile thing. Yes, I got to correct that, and I repent and forgive me if I have ever done that or if I ever do that to you. All you got to do is say, man, get that mean mug off your face. How you doing today? And then I'll probably tell you a book. I'll probably say, yeah, I did this, I did that. I jumped across this ditch and fell in there. And I got out and went home, took a shower, and went back in another direction and fell in another ditch. So yeah, I need help. Okay, a brother need help sometime. But I'm gonna take these last few minutes of the show. Then don't let me forget, guys, to tell you the one thing I'll change. I'll take this last few minutes of the show to say to the people that feel less fortunate and feel like they don't have the wherewithal to change anything. I'm talking about my folks that is in extreme pain right now, uncomfortable, don't want to talk. If they talk, their head hurt, can't run, can't walk like they want to, back hurt. Why are you telling me, coach, to make a contribution? Because I said so. Because you're still in the game. You're still in the bench. You're still on the bench, and I'm expecting things to get better. A guy told me the other day, we were standing at the place getting some fried chicken, and looking at the both of us. I don't know if either one of us needed it, and so hey, I'm talking about myself now. But he said we started talking, and he said his knees hurt. I said, sir, I'm gonna need you to get ready because you got to play Saturday. And he didn't say play what. I just went into coaching mode. I said, you're going to start. So I don't know what's going on with your knees, but I'm going to need you to get ready. And then he started smiling because most of us, or a lot of us, have played sports. And, you get the mandate from the coach that says it's time, you're going to have to play. But I went right at him when he said his knees hurt. And he said, no, Saturday, my day off, I sit and watch TV. I accepted that, but there was just a coaching mode. If you're sick right now, one, I want to pray for you. I want to ask God to heal you. I want to ask your family to be there for you. I want to ask your doctor to have all the wisdom in the world to guide miracles your way, and whether they give you whatever type of medication, just pray that it works for you and that you guys can go back and get it changed. If it's not, go on through that. But if you can speak a word to a child or to someone to encourage them, even while you're in your mess, even while you're locked up, even while you feel like you're not going to be here long, even while you feel inadequate enough to say anything to anybody, then sometimes you can be awarded a position to say something in somebody's life. If you have not proud of yours, there are positions you can take. Just be humble. You can say, well, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I've done that before and it didn't work for me. You can show some humility. I'm still expecting you to tell me some things that you would change, either based on your experience, to advance society. It don't stop with you. This is not the last game that we're going to play. You are not the last person that's going to be on the team. When you're off, I'm going to need somebody else. So wherever you at and what station you are in life, we got to get this done. Notice I said we. It's a team effort regardless of where you're going to work. It's a team. You're going to church. It's a team. You're driving a school bus. It's a team. You're working in an extreme heat. It's a team. You're working in extreme cold. You're making enough money. It's still not enough. You're not making money at all. Then your job is to get a job or to create a job. Not doing nothing is not going to work. There's like bars right there. I was just talking about work. Not doing nothing is not going to work. It's not going to work. It's just not. Giving up is just not going to work. You're going to create a deficit. It's like a cat playing with a ball of yarn, and the ball of yarn starts to unravel. Sooner or later, you're not going to be able to roll that back up. Not that easy. It's like a puzzle sometimes. And I want you to know that it's a challenge to look at all the shapes of those puzzles, and it takes patience, and we've made sort of a game out of putting a puzzle together. But I know there's some people out there that's got a puzzle in their household that's dealing with bills, that's dealing with infidelity, that's dealing with a bad marriage, that's dealing with the children that are not working out, that's dealing with foster care, that's dealing with abortion, that's dealing with all matter of problems and issues. And I'm still asking you to contribute one thing that you would change. Because why am I saying this? Because this is your city. This is your life, and your life matters. I'm couldn't talk about no suicide. I know you might have mental health issues. I worked in mental health and group homes for a long time, and I still never gave anybody the right to take their own life. I'm not going to agree with you. I'm not. You could be hearing voices. I know that's clinical. I can respect that. The voices are telling you to kill yourself. No. Absolutely not. The voices tell me to eat all the chicken wings I can eat. I shouldn't be doing it. So I got to say no. I'll be getting 6 pieces now. I'll be getting 12 and 24. Okay? No. So if you're in a position right now that you're hearing this show, I'm not doing anything. God's going to get the work done, but you become the conduit of change. You're an extraordinary person. I know you are if you're living and breathing, and you can hear me, or you can read, or you can be interpreted to. You're an extraordinary person. You got the gift. You are a genius. That's just the definition of a word based on what somebody else said. You get your change. Now, the thing that I would change 4 minutes before the end of the show, the one thing that I would change, and I want to thank Ms. Nader for allowing me to speak today. Great show, great platform to trust me with you guys and leave me here alone. She got a lot of courage. I love her to death. She got a lot of courage. The one thing that I would change is I feel great about what I've done thus far in my life. And I just want to ask God for if he got a date for me to come on home. I know this is not my address. My address is in heaven. This is just a temporary address. My address, it ain't no permanent address here on earth for me. Now, I'll leave my email address. I'm going to leave everything here. This is temporary for probably yourself. If you have high hopes of going to heaven to another address where we might live forever. So that means we're living forever anyways. It's just leaving this body. But to have God give me the time to affect change, to give away a whole lot more love than I have, that's what I would change. I'm not trying to predict that I'll be gone by next week or anything like that, but I want the time because some days I feel hopeless, that we're not going to change in time enough to affect the present generations. But that's just less hope. That ain't no hope. I'm tickling myself tonight with 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Thank you guys for being here, and I hope everyone has plans to change the world as they watch this or listen to this episode of Let's Talk Real Life with Nader Manning. You got to get it done. If you got any problems, you can contact me at Coach Garrison Office at gmail.com. And, I'll be glad to correspond with you. I'm a certified life coach, and I've done a lot in crisis management, 12 years in private investigation, worked with the sheriff's office, 7 years in the detention center, murder 1, murder 2, federal inmates, lockdown, a lot of group homes, mental health, served as a CEO for 3 companies. One of them was very, 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 very successful. So, hey, I want to say thank the station, the engineers here, the director, Ms. Akila, for the opportunity to bless the world through WBIS LP 106.9. With 1 minute to go, thank you. Thank you and thank you. I love you. I love the light. I love you to life. I tell you. And that's the best way I can say it. So with that being said, all you got to do is figure out what you would change. You got one. Just one thing. Nah, you can change one thing a day. I'm going to give you that permission. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next Wednesday, Lord willing. If the Lord says say the same. Thank you once again for joining us here on the show. Every Wednesday, at midnight, you can join us here with Let's Talk Real Life with Nada Manning, the greatest late night talk show on earth, especially when I'm around. No, I'm just kidding. WBIS LP 106.9. You guys have a beautiful day.
This is Awesome Radio, WBIS LP 106.9.